Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Secretary, I want to get back to this massive, I'm over here, way over to the extreme, well, your left, which is good. Jeb's right, which is not possible. Mr. Secretary.
Not possible.
Not possible. Not desirable by either one of us, either. This 2% deal. As I read the law, there are two requirements that we have set forth when you go below that 2% reserve fund. One of them is that you endeavor to get back to the 2%. Endeavor, a word that Congress picked, not you. And the other one is that you are required to draw down Treasury funds to bounce up that percentage. Are you endeavoring to get back to the 2%?
Very strongly, absolutely.
Because you're not just passing out loans like water anymore. You have a lot of other restrictions on the loans that you give out. And you're heading in the right direction.
We were always much stronger than most private sector actors, and we're even stronger today, in part because of the work of this committee.
And you drew the funds down from the Treasury, correct?
We drew $1.7 billion.
Did you use any of that Treasury money?
We did not. That was money to cover the future potential losses.
I know what it's for, but I think that law is stupid, that requires you to borrow taxpayers' money that you don't need, and you have proven that you didn't need it because you didn't use it. So I happen to think that that law is stupid, and I'm trying to change it. So my reading, you have adhered to the law. You're endeavoring to do what you're supposed to do, which is what the word that Congress used, number one. Number two is you took down money that you didn't need to sit there. So as far as I'm concerned, you're doing a lot. I actually think that you also have other mandates for FHA and for HUD, which is to encourage home ownership amongst responsible people. You're trying to balance that need as we balance different things that are required of us. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I think you're doing a good job. As far as I'm concerned, too, the fact that we don't have any good stories about certain people who have been priced out of the market is because you cannot have a good story when you don't create good stories. You are trying to create that good story. According to Moody's, which is not known as a liberal bastion of thinking or policy, they say that this 0.5% cut will open up at least 60,000 more people to buy a home. The Realtors Association has a much higher number. So I actually think you're trying to create more of those good stories while being fiscally responsible. One last question on this issue. If the reserve fund is challenged tomorrow because your assumption was wrong, all of a sudden things go bad, is there anything to prevent you from increasing this fee again?
Yeah, well, it's fair to say that we've put several tools in place, safeguards in place, that we will continue with those safeguards. Obviously, like...
Well, my friends on the other side want you to raise that fee. Yeah. We don't want you to raise this fee because we want more people to qualify, and it looks like with the lower fee you can manage it in a responsible way. If I'm wrong, if you are wrong, and by lowering the fee somehow you put the fund in jeopardy, is there anything that prevents you from increasing the fee tomorrow?
There's nothing that prevents that. That is one tool in the toolbox, and we'll continue like
so you could do exactly what they want to do if you were forced to do it because we were wrong. Nothing is jeopardized. And you have plenty of money in the fund to allow you the time to do that. We're talking about a problem that doesn't exist. I want to talk about one other issue that does exist, where a policy that I do disagree with HUD and FHA on, and that's the Distressed Asset Stabilization Fund. Mm-hmm. Right now, as I understand it, for those properties that you are forced to take, you basically sell them to the highest bidder, and the highest bidder has no interest and no knowledge where these properties are. They're simply buying paper. I personally don't think that that is the best way the HUD could be going. First of all, I think you'd be getting more money if you broke them up. Individual properties to individual consumers are worth more to one than it is to one consumer who's there to make profits, and you would be helping stabilize neighborhoods because those individuals or those community groups would care about those communities they would do. And I would strongly encourage, Mr. Secretary, as your next step, to break that monopoly up. I'm not here to enrich or to not enrich the Lone Star Fund, which bought thousands of properties recently and don't know where Somerville, Massachusetts is. They just bought a piece of paper. I would much prefer that those distressed properties in my district be offered to the highest bidder on an individualized or at least a small lot process, preferably to community organizations whose responsibilities are to create affordable home ownership and to build communities. I think you can make more money, and I think you could service our communities better if you took a more mayoral approach toward this as opposed to a macroeconomic approach. I know it's a different issue than you came in to talk about, but I want to get my 2 cents in since I think you're doing a great job in the FHA.
No, thank you very much, Representative. Let me just say I look forward to following up with you and with your staff. We have heard concerns about the DAS program. One of those has been, for instance, from nonprofits who would like to be able to participate and perhaps they feel a keener eye toward neighborhood revitalization. And so we're looking at how we might accomplish that and would love to follow up with you.
Time of the gentleman has expired.